Welcome to Scoop World Order. It is Wednesday night. The Buckeyes have just defeated the Wisconsin Badgers in a strange game. They're up 27, almost blew it at the end. So it was another chapter in this season that is can't be over soon enough. We had a nice offensive lineman commit from up in Toledo to Justin Fry and Ryan Day today. That's huge. We're going to break down his film. And day two of spring ball is going to get off to a great start tomorrow on Thursday. And then the guys take a little break, a little spring break, and then they get to go refresh for a little bit and go and get ready to go full pass as soon as they get back from wherever they're heading to for the next week. So we're going to get into all of that. But as always, thank you guys so much. We appreciate the growth of this channel. It's all because of you guys. So please click like, subscribe, the alert button, comment, shout out where you guys are from. Get those questions fired up. We appreciate you guys. We know this is a later show. We don't like to go against the basketball game, but we really have a good time interacting with you guys. So get in here, get those questions cranked up, and let's roll. That being said, I'm going to bring in my good friend Nevada. Nevada, how are you?
I'm doing better than the OSU basketball team that almost managed to yak off a 27-point lead in the second half, but they got it done. So go Bucks. The dream season continues, and glad to be here with you.
It's almost crazy how, again, I don't know. It's the season where it's almost like it's a wounded animal. You just want to put it out of its misery, but they survive for another one. This tournament, it's going to get obviously a lot tougher as it goes through the ranks, but yeah, it's been interesting. We got day two of spring ball tomorrow, Nevada. Obviously, spring ball is at the front of everybody's mind because everybody's an Ohio State football fan over everything. What do you want to hear and see get done tomorrow at spring practice number 2 for Ryan Day and the Ohio State Buckeyes?
Well, I just want to see the continued growth of the cornerbacks. I've been really, really excited about what I'm hearing about Burke and about Davison and about Jordan Hancock. And, I'm just getting rave reviews about those three guys. And I'm convinced from what I've heard and from what I've seen already and from what I've seen from last year's tape that Davison is the next great cornerback at Ohio State. And I don't like to throw the word great around, loosely. I think he's going to continue the trend of, CBU and why, Ohio State's been known for producing those guys that go to the league and excel at the next level. He's just everything you want in a cornerback. And, Jordan Hancock seems to have, taken the offseason to heart, really come out with a vengeance, and Denzel Burke's finally healthy. So, we've got three really, really good cornerbacks. I want to see them continue to take that next step and continue to stay healthy, continue to, cover and lock guys down. That's what I'm looking for, because I know the offense is going to be good. I know that's going to be fine. Our concerns are on the defense. And if those three guys get it done, Ohio State's going to be awful tough to beat.
Yeah, I think the offense will be, obviously one of the top 2 or 3 in the entire country, regardless of who starts on the offensive line. I think the skill is just too powerful, too difficult to cover. Guys are going to be healthier. I think that Cade Stover will take a big step, now that he is the man at tight end and he has got a lot of confidence. And obviously, Marvin and Mecca, you got the top 2 receivers in the country. Travion's probably the best running back in the country. So there's a lot of stuff for Kyle McCord to work with when he takes over as a quarterback. And I like the offensive line. It's funny because you can never seem to satisfy people when it comes to the offensive line. 2 years ago was, we're playing 4 tackles, and how could you ever play 4 tackles? Then, last year it's like, we got, leaks in the middle, or, Donnie Jackson isn't any good. And then this year we've got 2 true guards staying at guard, and you've got 2, taller 6'5", 6'6" tackles, and, they're rolling with it. And I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be good enough. And, I think there's guys that have a lot to prove. Josh Schreier, a lot of people don't remember 2 springs ago, when Thayer was starting at left tackle and Nick Petit was starting at right tackle, Josh Schreier was the first guard in the first huddle. He was the starting left guard before they made the decision to, move DeJuan into the starting lineup and move Thayer to guard. So there was a point where Josh Schreier 2 years ago was going to be our starting guard. So, he's been highly thought of for a while. He's a really tough kid. He's actually a really athletic kid. It's weird because, he looks like a big country boy from Indiana, so nobody expects him to be that athletic. But, he's a great basketball player. He's super athletic on the court. And, I think that bodes well for playing left tackle. I mean, personally, I think that, he's our most veteran tackle. He's our most experienced tackle. He's played a lot. He's only got the one start, but he's played spot duty. He's played that extra tight end where he's number 41, and I think that's an asset. I think that when guys have to stay focused during the game and they know that they could be going in, and Ryan likes to do that number 41 jersey number, and he's done it for a couple years now. It keeps guys on their toes, and they get their feet wet a little bit. So I'm excited. So we got a commitment today. Kid named Marc Nave, Toledo Central Catholic state champion. Was one of Justin's first offers in Ohio for the 24 class. We also have the Armstrong twins, who we will likely get both of them. What are your thoughts on Marc Nave? We're going to throw his tape up real quick so we can watch a little bit of it. I'm going to break it down with the telestrator. What are your thoughts on him, Nevada?
Well, I've talked to some of my best sources, some guys that watch him play week in and week out, and they just love the kid. They just think that he's got tremendous upside. They think he's got the upside to be an all Big Ten type of performer. I think that there's nothing but good things. I mean, I think there's a reason why Justin Fry and Ryan Day have made a concerted effort to kind of go after more Ohio linemen. That's a strategic change. It's not an accident. It's the reason why they're offering, freshmen. It's the reason why they're going after kids in the 24 class, the 25 class, the 26 class. They are committed to making kind of the bedrock of the Ohio State team Ohio offensive lineman. And this guy's a really good one. He's as good as any player that we could get around the country. And he happens to be up in Toledo, which is kind of half Ohio, half Michigan. But we'll take the Ohio half of them. And like you said, just off the state champions, tremendous player. And I think he's going to be a great player for Ohio State, and I couldn't be more excited about this get.
Yeah, he's a great kid. He plays at Central Catholic, who beat this tape's actually against Hoban in the state championship. So, he's played in big time games. He plays for a big time program, which I like when guys have played in big games because I feel like they're just a little more polished. They're not as not scared of the bright lights of Ohio State, but when you've played in big time games, big time playoff games, state championship games, I think that it does add a little bit of your callousness towards playing against pressure. So, but yeah, I like the kid. I think that he's going to evolve. He's lost a lot of weight. He's trying to get rid of some of the blubber. A lot of these kids, they get this, they kind of get soft, the bad diet through 7th, 8th, 9th grade. And then they get into this college stuff and they go to a couple of visits. They go watch Ohio State linemen and they see what guys like Paris Johnson look like. And they talk to those guys and they realize that diet is actually really important. And that's something that it's never been more evident than when you see, guys like Paris. I mean, Paris is an absolute specimen. He takes everything really seriously. He's he's just a tough kid, a tough nut. And but he's serious as a heart attack about it. And Marc is doing that. He's really a kid that, he's been working hard in the gym. He's not scared to post himself working out. All she got is fine. But he's got a lot of upside. He's 6'5". I think he's got good bend. He's natural. But again, like that's the thing with evaluating offensive linemen is, his film, it looks pretty good here, but he's also, he's recalibrating his body and he's getting stronger and he's losing fat. So he'll have better endurance and stamina. He's not going to wear down as much. And, I think all of that adds up and is important. But, I like guys that aren't allergic to the weight room because I've had offensive linemen that are allergic to the weight room and they're just terrible to deal with. Like if I was, ever a full-time offensive line coach, I would never take a guy that was scared of the weight room or a guy that didn't know his way around the weight room or you had to beg him to go to the weight room. And I played with guys like that. I coached guys like that at Ohio State. And, this kid is not like that. I think that, the twins up at St. Ed's, those guys are workers. The kid from Avon is a worker. And in recruiting, you kind of recruit your own problem, so to speak. So, when a kid comes in with a weight problem and he hasn't managed it in high school and he hasn't gotten himself in shape, then that's something you're probably going to deal with when he gets to Ohio State. But kudos to this kid for shaping himself up. Again, it'll be interesting to see how he looks at camp. And again, I think that he's just, he's got a lot of upside, and again, I love the big program. I love that he's going to be a captain and a leader of the program. He gets young guys to work out with him. So yeah, there's a lot of upside there. Nevada, how many O-linemen do you think we end up with? Do we take 5, 6 maybe in this class?
I think it's probably going to be 5. It's probably going to be 5. We've been just wrecked with, early entrants, which is really a tribute to the Ohio State offensive line. But, I was talking to one of my best sources, probably my best source, and he told me, he's like, Nevada, we have 12 dudes in the offensive line room right now. And I was like, wow, that many. He's like, yeah, we got that many dudes. So I think offensive line depth is really, not an issue for Ohio State. I think they're gonna restock after this year. And I like the offensive line. I like the guys that we have. I like the guys that we're getting. I like the guys that we're going after. So Justin Fry seems to have stepped right in and really, but I like the fact that they've kind of recalibrated their approach to the offensive line. I've always thought that the bedrock of your team should be Ohio offensive linemen more so than any other position on the field. I think every other position you can go national, but for the offensive line, I really think you should stay local. And Ryan Day and Justin Fry seem to have embraced that, and more power to them. Like I said, I couldn't be more excited about these offers.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, you get some Ohio kids, and I think that, you got to know when you're in the national game with certain linemen when it's real, when it's not real, when it's a waste of time. And when you need a big class, like a 5 or 6 body class, like, it doesn't hurt to get some kids in the shoot early just so that you kind of have the bedrock of your offensive line. And a lot of these guys, again, I always go back to Thayer. Like Thayer Munford was a kid that most people weren't excited when he committed. They were just like, oh, great, we got a kid, he was ineligible for a big chunk of the year. He was, it was because he transferred to Massillon, whatever. And he was a great kid. He was an exceptionally hard worker. Billy Price told me he was one of the hardest working guys on the team as soon as he got there. And that was something that, people that are just, supporters or message board types, they don't see how some of these kids show up, and some are really, really good workers. And some kids are, they're not going to make it because they're not going to be caught up with the tidal wave of effort and work that's required to be a good football player at Ohio State. I mean, it is not for the faint of heart. Mickey makes that very clear. He's like, look, if you don't like to work, don't come to Ohio State. I mean, he was like that at Florida. And I think he's got, this kid, the fact that he's losing weight, he's a gym rat. I think he's proud of the fact that he's, getting stronger. And, I think when kids realize that they have physical deficiencies and they can work at it, that's something that's good. I mean, some kids that they have an Ohio State offer this early, they kind of arrive, or they think they've arrived and they don't really need to work as much as they do. But it's funny. He's got some great photos online. I'm going to show this because he's like a little skinny dude now, and it's good because, like I'm telling you, like he'll reshape and he'll be amazed when he gets out on the field and he feels just 1,000 times better because he's not lugging around a bunch of sluggish weight, So it's funny. I want to put this on here. So this is a photo of him during the season, and you see the gut. Obviously, this is something that, and I'm not making fun of him, but and then he posted this last week where he's lost probably 25 pounds at least, if not 30 pounds. So, he's getting more strapped up, getting more rocked up, which is good. And again, like, it's nice that a kid can do this before he shows up to Ohio State, as opposed to, he shows up and, his body just looks like vomit and he's in terrible conditioning. And, like a kid that takes the initiative to do it on his own is a kid that I think Justin Fry is probably why he pulled the trigger on him. The kid's a self-starter. Again, these guys, they go around after they got back from Georgia, they went around the high schools, they got looks, they got eyeballs on the kid. And, the kid that they saw at the state championship game wasn't the same kid, 6-7 weeks later when he probably drops 20, 25 pounds and he leaned up, a substantial amount. So, I think that Justin Fry will stay on him and Mickey Marotti will stay on him and make sure that he keeps trending that way. And he keeps adding, strength and bulk and reducing his fat and eating better and, kind of all the things that go into being a really good player at Ohio State. And that's why I like this kid. I think that he's got a high ceiling, and I think it's, his work habits and his work ethic are something that can help carry him there. Nevada, day 2 spring ball. We talked a little bit about it. We've both been hammering people about that we're at day 1, what's going on. What were some things that you gleaned? I know we talked, ad nauseum about it yesterday when it was going on, but any other new insight or any other new things that you've heard from the first day of spring ball that could carry into the second day of spring ball?
Yeah, well, I think what's really interesting to me is really kind of what Jim Knowles is trying to do with the defense. And I think, last year at this time, Jim Knowles is kind of going in and it was really install. It was install the Knowles scheme, get these guys to kind of be familiar with it. And this year, there's really just a stark difference between first day of spring compared to first day of spring last year, because you've got so many returning guys. I mean, this is such a veteran group with the Knowles defense. They've really been able to kind of go to advanced concepts, and that's really been a really kind of a startling thing to me, is just how different it is from last year. Last year they were starting from scratch. It was really kind of back to basics, like the old John Wooden, this is a ball, this is how you tie your shoes, this type of thing. Now they're into full install right now. They're getting into secondary concepts, tertiary concepts, and I think it's really going to show that the defense is going to be more complex this year, but with a greater understanding from guys. And I think that's going to really make a big difference. I mean, the OSU defense is they went from kind of a rookie group to kind of a veteran group in 1 year, and I think it's going to pay big dividends in 2023.
Yeah, I think that going through what worked, what didn't work, changing who does what. Again, we've talked to Nave. I don't need to talk anymore about the jack and how it's probably going to be almost shelved for the year, or at least for a large part of the year, at least the way they deployed it last year. Playing Jack, I think playing Jack Sawyer at a traditional defensive end spot is going to be an absolute breath of fresh air for him, because he was a fish out of water at the Jack spot. I thought it was good in concept, but when a guy is a hand on the ground rusher, not everybody naturally takes to being in a 2-point stance. Like teams switch to the 3-4 in the NFL, and like the Los Angeles Chargers, they did that, and Joey Bosa had to become a stand-up guy. Partially, he still plays a lot of time in a 3-point stance, but I think those guys that are really good defensive end pass rushers prefer to be in a 3-point, just because that's what they're used to. I think it affects your pad level, your center of gravity, your burst off the line. I don't know. I've always been a believer in the 3-point stance and the power you can generate, and just the ability to start off in a lower position as opposed to being in a 2-point. I think that's something that's really going to help Jack. I think Jack's going to have a big spring. These tackles are going to be, they're going to be fighting every day because they're going against two of the best in Jack and JT. And even as little as Jack played, he still led the team in sacks, which is crazy, when you look back and think about it. And, I think that they got to get more juice out of these ends. These ends have got to get to the quarterback at a higher rate than they did last year. So that'll be interesting to see. See if Kenyatta Jackson can get after it a little bit. Basically it's open enrollment for anybody that wants to go get after the quarterback. I love the cornerback momentum right now. I think that it's amazing the transition that Tim Walton has gone from since mid-January until now, where there was a point where, there was, a press release that went out that mentioned that the offensive staff this is your 2023 offensive staff, and they didn't say anything about the defensive staff. And there were some rumors that, there could be movement there. And then, he goes out, he gets Davis Igbenison the first day of practice. Denzel Burke's the practice player of the week for Jim Knowles. So I love the momentum with the cornerback room. I think that, not to be too obvious, but the fact that you don't have CJ Stroud throwing, precise lasers everywhere all over the field, it probably doesn't hurt their confidence, because his ball placement was so good that, those guys could probably be in decent position in practice and still get, have Marvin or Emeka or Jackson Smith and Jigba make an amazing catch. So I'm sure that, these new quarterbacks are probably going to be a little bit more erratic, so they have more opportunities to make plays on balls and break up passes. So that'll be really interesting to see how that battle goes through spring. Nevada, after day one, were there any major surprises to you on either side of the ball in terms of spring ball?
Well, I just, what I'm looking for is kind of what's the answer to the Sonny Styles and CJ Hicks, conundrum. And, there was a poster asked me on the board today, and it's something that it's been on my mind about 100 times. But, like, why can't Sonny Styles step in and take that Hickman position from last year? I mean, it's not like Hickman was some fluid, super, swervy cornerback type, safety. How come Sonny Styles can't play that position? And, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Why, it would, sure, he's big, sure, he's, maybe have a little bit of trouble in coverage, but how come he couldn't play that position? And wouldn't that present some unique challenges to teams when they face the Buckeyes?
To me, I mean, I think you have to try him out there in the slot spot because he is kind of like, you know, if you had to like make a position, I know that Jim Knowles runs the three safety thing, but he's kind of like what a Darren Lee was. When Darren Lee was a Sam linebacker, he'd walk out over the slot. He was fast enough to cover him. I mean, Sonny's probably not quite as fast as Darren. Darren was a 4.38 guy, but yeah, he's probably every bit of a 4.5 guy, I'd imagine. And he's every bit the athlete that Darren was. He's bigger than Darren. So I think that would be a really logical place to put him because I think that he would be a good add to the strong side of the formation in the running game. And I also think that he's good enough to cover in space and cover crossing routes and carry guys, when he's passing guys off in defensive coverage. So, I think that, you got to find a spot for him. Obviously, Will and Mike are taken by Steele and Tommy Eichenberg. And even Cody Simon, who's going to be the Mike basically all spring because Tommy's sitting out. But I think that's his best spot. If you put, him, and then obviously you got to put Lathan back at free safety, and then you figure out if your strong safety probably ends up being Josh Proctor, or you could flip him and Lathan, whatever you want to do, and then put Sonny at that slot spot. I think it's the perfect spot for him because you kind of go kind of with less of a safety and more of like a supersized safety / Sam linebacker that walks out over the slot. But that's kind of the position that his body is at right now. He's not big enough to be, the defensive, but he could probably rush the passer, but I don't think you want him standing in there against like a good tackle in the running game because he's just too small. But I think that a guy that can walk out and play in space and then blitz on occasion off the edge is the perfect spot for him. So it would be interesting to see where they rep him. I don't know if I'd love him as a deep, strong safety. I know that we play the kind of that three safety kind of across the field look, but yeah, I think that nickel spot is perfect for him. It'd be interesting to see how much they deploy him because he has to get on the field somewhere. And I don't know if you take, on passing downs, if you take Tommy out and you put Steele at Mike and you put Sonny at Will, so you have a little bit more speed. I don't know what the solution is, but I know that he has to play. I don't know if you make him a designated blitzer just because he's a bigger guy that could run over running backs in pass protection. And he's got the speed to get there and he's got the length to get there. So, but he's an interesting tweener type body, but a tweener in like a really good way, like not a tweener in a way that you're like, I don't know if he could play either position. It's more like, what place do you put him at and just tell him, hey, this is your home now. Go dominate it. Because like the one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to stunt his growth by having him play multiple positions, which is something I think happened with Jack last year when he had to play, he had to play defensive end and Jack, and he's listed as the starting Jack, but he's not a starting defensive end. And it was just kind of like, an annoyance. I think that when guys are, freshmen, sophomores, they have to you have to make sure that they're the master of one position. It's hard enough to learn one position, let alone flip flop to a bunch of different ones. Like when I was at Ohio State, I did not have a ton of versatility. I played tackle only, and I was good with that, and that was hard enough. Some of those guys, like a guy like Jack Mewhort, who could play center, guard, and tackle, and he was great at all of them, is something that I wasn't as good as Jack was when it came to moving around the line. Corey Lindsey could play interior. You very rarely have an offensive lineman that can play all five spots, but Jack Mewhort was a guy that could do that. But yeah, I think that Sonny, obviously Davidson. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are creating a lot of buzz right now. Denzel Burke, I'm so happy for him because he's a kid that, when he's confident and he's got that energy, then he's the guy that's a difference maker. But I think that, playing football and positions like cornerback, where, you could have 70 good plays and 2 bad plays and people say that you suck because you gave up 2 touchdowns or got torched or whatever. You got to have a lot of mental toughness and a lot of confidence. And sometimes you got to fake it till you make it. Sometimes you might not have any reason to be confident, but you still got to maintain that confidence, even if you're getting beat down by, by the fan base or by, people, in the locker room or coaches or whatever. You still got to, shield that stuff up and get ready to roll. Any other names, Nevada? I think that the Sonny Styles thing is going to be fascinating to see how they roll with him and where they rep him through spring and if they move him around at all.
Yeah, well, I mean, the other thing obviously is the quarterback battle, and it's going to be, we've talked a lot about Kyle McCord, and we've talked a lot about it, like it's like fait accompli that'll be the starter, and that's probably the chalk. But Devin Brown's been testing really well. I mean, Devin Brown's been really good on, in the classroom type of stuff and in the film room type of stuff. He's a really intellectual type of kid. And, I was kind of talking to people and kind of talking about it as if it was Kyle McCord's job to lose. And they were kind of like saying, nah, let's just wait. Let's hold on a little bit on that one right there. But it's going to be a great quarterback battle throughout the spring. I think both guys bring some interesting things. And what I'm most interested to see is how the effect of Kyle McCord dropping a little bit of weight, being a little bit quicker, is going to affect him in the offense. Can he move around like Ryan Day is asking these quarterbacks to do right now? Which again, we talked about that this is a change. Ryan Day clearly with C.J. Stroud had told him not to run, almost at the threat of death. Don't run, don't take the yards, don't go for the end zone, CJ. I think I know he's telling these guys differently. So it's going to be fun to see Devin Brown running around back there, seeing if he can extend plays, make things happen, and seeing if Kyle McCord can kind of drop out of being just a kind of pocket passer and seeing if he can move around and use that quickness in that small area of space and create some things for the OSU offense. But I think that's a wide open battle and going to be really one of the storylines that's going to continue out through the spring and into the fall.
I know that in the past you've talked about how much you love like draws and screens and like plays like that are kind of easy peasy plays, like misdirection type plays. A play that I would kill for us to run that I don't think we ran in the Ryan Day era is the quarterback draw, because we used to run this with Troy and it's like stealing. It's like free money. Again, like when these guys are off in coverage. And you've got, even when you have a back there, so they bring a cat blitz. This is a corner blitz right here. So he comes off the edge. This is literally the perfect call. This is almost like you had the defensive script. Back picks up the corner, and then it's just like a wash. Your center climbs up, wash, here. And basically, that's the guy that has to tackle him. It's the only two guys left on the entire field. So good luck, but it's just, this is Devin Brown's high school tape. Again, I'm putting it on just because we haven't seen him. If I put his Ohio State tape on, it's just literally like watching him hand the ball off. So yeah, really have no idea what he can do. A couple spring game snaps last year, but when he was the man and, in big games, like this is something he can do. And it's interesting because, I love the ability of a quarterback to run because I think it is incredibly difficult to defend. I talk to defensive players on the team. They love guys that sit in the pocket and they just don't move like statues. So, I'm a big Devin Brown fan. I think that Kyle McCord's going to be the day one starter, but if Ryan Day, if they came out and said Devin Brown is the guy, then I think that when you have new tackles, a new O-line, there's going to be some leaks. Paris and Dewan are about as good as we've ever had in terms of a duo. Since Pace and Stringer. So, you can't anticipate a top 10 tackle and second round tackle, that level of production and pass protection. So, when things bust loose, if a guy can get away from a rush and make, take a negative play like a sack or a tackle for a loss and turn it into a run and you go get 6 or 7 and break the defense's back, I think that's just such a huge thing. This is one of my favorite plays. We've watched hours of film on this podcast, but, again, this is this is a misread. He should be handing this ball off because this guy. So in a zone read, where you're just basically base block, you're double teaming to here to whoever's back here. This is the guy that the quarterback is looking at and reading. So there's two things this guy can do. This guy can squeeze down off the edge and tackle the running back, or he can play static. Here he kind of does both, but this should be a give to the running back just based on how he slow plays it. Here, this is what you call static. His shoulders are square. He's playing the quarterback. So this should be a handoff for a touchdown. You look at the running back, he doesn't even get touched. So it's like, but he misses the read here and he pulls it on accident. And, this guy's got him dead to rights. Now, again, that's not exactly Javon Curse or Nick Bosa, but, Devin puts his foot in the ground and it's like an Allen Iverson crossover and just breaks the guy's ankles and he's able to get in the end zone. despite the missed read. I mean, honestly, that would probably be, if Jim Tressel was grading that, he'd probably give him a missed assignment for blowing the read. But still, you see the athleticism on a play that should have been a loss of 4, and he turns it into a touchdown. You that or watching some of this tape, I love Devin Brown. Like I can't say that enough because I love the mobility and I love the accuracy and the ability to throw on the run. But does this jar anything for you? Like when you just remembered how good this kid was in high school?
Yeah, no, like I said, I've always had a soft spot for quarterbacks that can run. An underrated skill too, and this is something that people don't ever talk about. And this may be the most underrated play in all of football is the quarterback sneak. And to have a quarterback that can get under the center and get that yard or yard and a half or whatever that tough situation is, and do it consistently, and I use the example of Tom Brady, who's like probably the slowest, most unathletic guy to ever play in the NFL. And he's about 99% converting the quarterback sneak because he can do it, so well. And, he's got such, superb timing and fearlessness when he runs that play. But, that's another play that I'd like to see Ohio State. You talk about the quarterback draw or screen passes. I'd like to see Ohio State in short yardage run the quarterback sneak instead of snapping the ball 3.5 or 4 yards back and then trying to get 1 yard forward, which has never made any sense to me. I'd like to see Ohio State do that with more consistency. I still have dreams of when they did. I don't know if you remember that when they did it against Clemson, the game that we beat Clemson, when Justin Fields went and was like looking over the sideline, like faking, he's looking for the play, and then he just lined up really quick and ran this quarterback sneak. And almost got like 4 yards. Justin almost staggered into the end zone on that one. But no, I'd like to see that happen for Ohio State more. I'd like to see Ryan Day do that more. And it's just all under the category of let's not treat these quarterbacks like they're these porcelain dolls that have to be wrapped in bubble wrap that we don't ever run or utilize in any way. I think these guys are more durable than that. We do have a pair that are both players that we can go and do some things. And let's play fearlessly with the quarterback position and really get the most out of it, because I feel like we've been operating with one hand tied behind our back for the past 2 seasons, and don't want to see that again into 2023.
And this is a play that I love in terms of a mobility, aspect of the game. I mean, this is an all-out zero blitz. So this is manned up. He's got the back deep, and they bring the house. They run a twist in the middle here. So, this is a good stunt. I mean, this is tough sledding here with multiple twists. The ends twist, there's a twist here, twist here, twist here. So, I mean, this is something this is advanced level pass protection here, especially in empty. And, there's gonna be blows. Like, I mean, again, there's guys that are veterans that blow this assignment sometimes, and they get a leak here in the middle. And sometimes it's because the back's overwhelmed because this back isn't very big. This linebacker's bigger than him, runs right through him. And just watch Devin. So he's going through his reads, back pedals, puts his foot in the ground and gets away from it all. And like plays like this are just absolute morale killers for a team. Like you look at the two sidelines, you watch when he makes this completion, you watch their sideline. Imagine this is Ohio State. He's off platform, scrambles out, throws across his body, because you got to remember the whole time this is going on, these guys that are in man coverage are like, all right, guys, get home, get him on the ground. And then finally, like after like 9 seconds, they don't get him on the ground because he's elusive and he's quick. And that happens, because you can only cover a guy for so long, even if you're Darrelle Revis. Eventually, when you're playing with guys like Emeka and Marvin, they're not going to stay covered. But I love plays like that because I just know how demoralizing that is when that happens to a defense. Like when that would happen to our defense, like when I played at Ohio State and, I'd see some of our great defensive ends, or we'd run a great blitz with AJ Hawk and a quarterback would somehow get away from them and make a completion like that. You're just like, oh my God, and there weren't many guys that could get away from our defense because we were really good. But, I've seen that. I mean, you guys have seen that. You guys all watch a ton of football. You guys watch college football, high school football, NFL football, and that ability to escape pressure, because no matter how good your offensive line is, you're still going to have some defensive calls that get you, that they're the checkmate. You know, they call the perfect stunt or the perfect blitz versus your protection, or a guy just gets beat, and the quarterback has to be able to be elusive and get away from that and still make a play and not take a loss. You know, again, if you can't get rid of it quick enough and you take a loss, that's a killer on the drive to make it second and 16 as opposed to being second and 4 because you're able to scramble out or complete a pass. But yeah, I love his ability. You know, again, that's like the thing that Devin, from a mobility standpoint, I think is quicker than Kyle. I think it's funny, and I love that he's wearing 33 too. Nevada, what did you think of the number change? Because I kind of dig it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, no, it was definitely gutsy. It was definitely, that's a confident kid to go to a number change like that. That says a lot about him, and certainly he's made an impact. He's going to stand out on the field, that's for sure. And I know that was his intention, and he got what he wanted.
All right, this is we're gonna take some questions. You guys have some awesome questions. Some of you guys, someone mentioned, we went live, and they're wondering how long we went live for. If you click the little alert bell on YouTube, you get a little alert on your phone when we go live. Again, if there's a basketball game, we usually try to either go before or after it. Tonight, the game was so early at 6:30 that we figured we'd just go after. So, but click that little bell, and you'll get an alert when we go live. This is a great question, Daniel. I appreciate this. Ohio State needs to get back to making plays in the return game. I agree. Who would I start as the return man? Man, that is a great question. The guy that I obviously think should do it just because of his speed is Jaden Ballard. Now, Jaden, for whatever reason, never plays. And he's a guy that we had people at practice and bowl practice saying how fast he looked, how they had all these gadget plays for him, reverses, like things that are simple touches. If you have a guy who's really fast, you can just hand him the ball and he runs around the corner and gets, 10 yards or 50 yards or whatever it is. And, we thought, hey, they're going to do some of this against Georgia. And then sure as can be, we get to the game. Marvin Harrison, gets knocked out. Jaden just watches the whole entire game. I don't know if he even had to shower after the game because he didn't play at all. But I think that he's a guy that would be an obvious candidate. I think Davison. I watched his high school tape, and I don't like putting a number one corner out there, but he's got that ability. A guy like Evan Pryor has got to get touches somehow. I know we try to do it with Chip. Chip's too boxy for me to be a return guy, but Evan's got jets. Some of those guys that are fourth, fifth string at running back or receiver, like I would love a way to manufacture some touches for them. Just to keep them engaged and active, and they can tell their parents, "Hey, I'm the starting kick returner," or "Hey, I'm the starting punt returner." Just because I think that it's better for morale and to keep them out of the portal if they have an actual role, as opposed to, "Hey, yeah, mom, I'm the fourth tailback, and if we play Rutgers and we're up by 84 points, I might get a chance to get a carry." So, I would get one of those AYOs, and I was always big on that when I was a player. I think that the more starters you can get off special teams, the better you are for, especially as long as the seasons are with 15 games now. I think that I was always real big. Like when I was a starting offensive lineman, I didn't think I should be on the field goal protection team, and I think that, when you're in college, you have, 18 scholarship offensive linemen in the room, and, there's 4 or 5 that are redshirting because they're true freshmen, but there's still 10, 12 guys that can go in there and be on field goal protection, which is a thankless job. It's a tough job, but I did it when I was a freshman, and when I became like a full-time starter, I was like, look, let some of these other guys play. Let some of them actually earn their scholarship checks instead of just showing up for the game, wearing the uniform, and then going home and taking their to-go box of food. Like let them actually do something, because I'm already playing 75 snaps a game, so let those guys go play special teams. And that was always my philosophy across the board. I know that we like to play our best players on special teams, but guys like CJ Hicks and Reed Carrico and Kai Stokes, like these guys need to go become the bomb squad on kickoff and punt return and some of these units, field goal block, the blockmen, the rushmen, or whatever you want to call it. Like you got to have some of these young guys earn roles on those squads where they can actually be productive and make an impact and then earn more snaps on the traditional offensive or defensive side of the ball. But Nevada, I'm going to pose this question to you. Dana, again, fantastic question. Who would you put back as both a kick returner and then a punt returner? Do both, please.
I'm going to give you a really boring answer and say Emeka. And it's like we have amnesia. Do we remember the Rose Bowl? I mean, Emeka literally won us the game with his returns. His returns, it was the best return performance that I'd seen since Teddy Ginn. And, those are big plays, and as much as I like let's get everybody a participation award and let's get everybody in there. I mean, Emeka's a special kickoff returner. And with as few kickoff returns as they get anymore and as few punt returns as they get anymore, I want to have somebody who can break the game open. And Emeka's that guy. Yeah, he's your number 2 wide receiver. Yeah, you want to hit other guys touches, but man, remember that Utah game? Remember every time they kick it to him, and what he averaged, like 50 yards a return in that game? Like he nearly broke like 4 returns. So I'd have a Mecca back there. I know that's boring, but that's Nevada's answer for the evening.
That is boring. I appreciate the boys. So for kickoff and punt and punter, but he was also a freshman though too. So it's like, I mean, when you've got guys like Ennis and Tate and the Rogers kids, like, I don't know. I just think to keep those guys involved,
but wait till they fumble one. Wait till one of those guys drops one on the ground and fumbles it back there, and then all of a sudden people are riding at Barton's house, storming his new pool like it's a moat out there, trying to get him.
Ted Ginn fumbled in the Michigan game in 2005, like coughed it up right in front of their end zone. So I mean,
yeah, Teddy's one of the all-time greats. He gets a couple of fumbles, but you get the freshman back there and have him gack one up there at times. Like I said, if that happens this year, I'm blaming you, Barton.
I'll ride with Brandon Ennis in his hands. If he misses one, that's my fault. But he's got to go catch some punts down in Florida off of a live leg. I don't know if we can put an entire first team all Buckeye offense and defense together because we're already at 40 minutes, but I love this question. This would almost be like a whole entire show. How about we'll do the offense? Is that good with you, Nevada? You want to start naming an offense?
Sure.
All right. Who would be your all Buckeye quarterback? And you guys in the chat, I want to hear type your quarterbacks too.
This is all time?
All time Buckeye.
Like, is this one game? Is this the season? I need a little bit more of the parameters on this.
Okay. So we're gonna do all time and the peak of their career. So you could put Joe Burrow as your quarterback if that's what you want, or so like it's like the very peak of their career. So it's not like, oh well, Joe Burrow at Ohio State.
No, but it's got to be the peak of their career at Ohio State. It's got to be it can't be what they did afterwards. It's got to be the peak of their career at Ohio State. I'm taking Justin Fields as my quarterback. Justin Fields is my quarterback.
I'm gonna take Joe Burrow. I'll take Joe Burrow.
Yeah, that sucks. Joe Burrow never did anything at Ohio State. Joe Burrow sucked, man.
He'd have done a natty.
No,
he won a national title. He won the Heisman. I'll take that.
Boy.
I'll take Joe Burrow. Who are you going to put a running back? Joe Burrow would have won a Heisman at Ohio State. He would have beaten every team. He would have lost Purdue. He had to play defense too.
As a running back, I'm taking Archie Griffin. Archie Griffin's my running back.
No Nick Goings or anything, or Sammy Maldonado?
No, not Sammy.
I got to go Zeke. I'm going Zeke all day. Do we do a fullback or do we do 2 running backs?
We'll go two running backs.
Who's your other running back?
I'll go Archie and I'll go Keith Byers.
Really? Huh.
Yep.
I don't know if I'd go. I mean, I got to go Eddie, I think, right? Go Eddie. He won a Heisman, big guy. All right, let's go offensive. Well, let's go receiver. Let's go 3. Pick your 3 receivers.
My 3 receivers, I'm going Chris Carter, Garrett Wilson, and I'm probably going to go Marvin Harrison Jr.
No Paul Warfield?
I almost went Paul Warfield, but his stats were not great. But he was part of the 72 Dolphins, so I was going to go with that. But nah, that's too old for some of these people here. But going with the more recent, go with Marvin.
Okay, I'll go Marvin. I'll go Mike Thomas, and I'll go Garrett. I like that. Let me think. Tight end. This one should probably be pretty easy.
I'm going Ricky Dudley.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of the only answer. I mean, unless you want to go like John Frank or something. But I think Ricky Dudley's, he was the top. God, he went like top 15 in the draft. So Left tackle, obviously, we'll both take Pace. What about your
No,
left?
come on. You don't want to take Pace. Pick somebody else. You can't
No,
pick
I'm
Pace.
taking Orlando Pace.
You don't like Orlando Pace. You've
How
been
can
dead.
you put any better than Orlando Pace as a starting left tackle for
Oh,
all time Ohio
I've
State?
asked you that question many times, and you're like, "Oh, Orlando Pace wasn't that good, or Orlando Brown
Yeah,
Jr. was better."
I said he wasn't that good. Yeah,
Yes, I'm sorry,
I
Orlando.
said
I
Orlando Brown Jr. is better. Well, Orlando Brown
Yes,
Jr. is about to probably be richer though, but I mean he's not better than
yeah,
Orlando
no doubt,
Pace.
no doubt. Okay, Orlando, I'm
So
with you, man. I'm right.
who would you put at left guard?
Oh man, left guard. That's so tough. Boy,
Do you want me to go
man.
first so I can help you?
Sure, sure.
All right. Well, I mean, obviously you got to go Pace and
Uh,
Stringer as your two tackles. Um, I'd go Jim Parker at left guard, put John Hicks at right guard, and put
I,
LaCharles
I,
at center.
yeah, well, it's definitely Hicks and Parker for sure. Those are the two answers, and my center's going to be Nick Mangold. Nick Mangold at center.
Over LaCharles?
Yeah, I don't
Uh,
like
that's fine.
Charles. I'm not listening. Listen, Charles, if you're listening right now, I'm picking Nick Mangold over you, just like Barton picked somebody over Orlando to play
Oh my
left tackle.
God. Well, that was actually pretty quick. I mean, we could do the defense
Yeah,
too. So your two ends, you gotta go the two Bosas.
yeah, Bosa.
Bosa. I agree there. Who are your two defensive tackles? Who's your three technique and who's your nose? Nose is gonna be Big Daddy, obviously. Who's your
Yeah, I've
three
got to be big.
technique?
That's so tough. I mean, I'd probably
Ch-
go somebody old.
Chase Young or Cam Hayward? Jim
I go
Stolagan?
Cam Hayward.
All right, three linebackers. Middle linebacker, Will and Sam.
I'm going to go Gradishar, Spielman, Cousineau.
Oh my God, I'm going AJ. Give me Laurinaitis and give me. Ooh, this last one's tough because there's a bunch of guys that popped into my head. God. Because part of me likes Ryan Shazier because of the speed. But then part of me, like, I know how good Gradishar was. Obviously, I know how good Spielman was. Pepper Johnson. That's a tough one right there. It's like when we get to corner. Corner's almost going to be impossible. Um, I'll go little buddy. I'll go Shazier because I love Shazier. All right, so we'll go corners. Who are your corners? Because corner is probably the hardest position on the entire team because you got Winfield, you got Denzel Ward, you got Marshawn. We had all those first rounders.
I'm going
He,
Neil Colsey and Sean Springs.
really?
Yeah,
Over
yeah.
Denzel and Marshawn and
Oh,
okay.
nobody. Those guys. Neil Colsey was way better than any of those guys, man. I'm telling you.
Jeff Okuda, Antoine
No,
Winfield. He's better than Antoine
way,
Winfield.
way better. And on top of all that, he might have been one of the greatest punt returners at Ohio State as well.
Yeah, but you said all they do is fair catch now, so who cares? Who cares about
Yeah,
punt
he's great.
returns?
Colsey, and he wore those high socks, man. He was awesome.
Okay. Well, I'll do. I gotta do Twan. I can't not do Antoine Winfield. He's from Summit County, and I'm gonna do. God, is it Ward or is it Marshawn or is it Sean Springs? I mean, this is really tough. I mean, probably gonna go Marshawn just because he's locked up Mike Evans so many times. All right, who are your safeties? Give me a free and give me a strong.
I'm going Tim Fox and man, can I go Malcolm Jenkins?
Sure, of course. It's
Okay,
your
and
team.
Malcolm and
You,
Malcolm. I'm going Tim Fox and Malcolm Jenkins.
oh, but he only played safety in the NFL. He's like Joe Burrow, who wasn't good at
I
Ohio
know.
State.
Yeah,
Oh,
but Orlando Pace was a great player, man. Orlando was great. I don't care
oh.
what you say.
Look at you! Look at you changing the rules. I'll do Tatum, and I'm gonna do Dante. I like that. I
Yeah,
got two hitters,
not
and Dante can run
not
like the
bad.
wind. All right. What do we got left? Kicker is gotta be Nugent. Punter, who who did the punter be? Sladany, or is he a kicker?
It's
He's a
got
kicker.
it's got to be Sladany. Yeah.
Cam Johnston. Cam Johnston's in the
No.
league, man. He's on like year 6 in
Yeah.
the league right now. All right,
Yeah. No.
give me your kick returner.
Oh boy. I'd say for kickoffs it was Teddy Ginn. For punts it was Neil Colsey.
Oh, for punts, it was absolutely Teddy. Kickoffs, I don't know. I mean, Teddy wasn't always a kickoff returner, but God, I don't know if we've ever had a good kickoff returner. I mean, I think Hartline might have ran one back. No, he ran back a punt.
Ray Small.
Oh my God, stop.
Yes.
Kickoff returns I put in Mecca. So there we go.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Nice. Well done.
So we left out Chase Young. There were some notables that were omitted. I mean, but you can't pick all of them. Like we left off David Boston.
Chick
Oh
Harley.
God, Fields one's gonna kill us for that. We
Yeah,
left off
exactly.
Chick Harley and Vic January. So we left off all the Heisman winners basically, except for
Yes.
Eddie.
Yes.
I picked Eddie.
Yes, we
and
did.
every other guy just got blanked. We left off Bill Willis, who's in the NFL Hall of Fame. He's in every Hall of Fame ever. But do you, Nevada, if this was one game like for your family's life, like do you just go biggest, strongest, fastest, any era, or are you a guy that's like, well, like when you're picking a team like this, is it, I'm taking Bill Willis because in the mid 1900s he was a super dominant player because he was a 210-pound defensive tackle and nobody could block him. Like, or do you say no? I want Cam Hayward because he's 6'7" and weighs 320 and kills everybody. Like, is that like you get what I'm saying? Like the difference in eras.
Yeah. I just go dominance in your era. I think dominance in your era is all you can do is play against the people you play against. And that's why like a guy like Terrell Pryor to me is always really high up on all these lists because Terrell just like he had nothing to play with. The offense was antiquated and it was basically just snap the ball to Terrell and run around. And he still just dominated people because he was just so big and strong and athletic. And so I think it's dominance over your peers.
Yeah, I mean Terrell's a different animal, man. He's a beast, and that was a guy that anytime we had him on the field, I always felt like we were gonna win, just because he was that guy, and he never had any type of nerves or anxiety or anything, because he knew every time he stepped on the field, he was the best athlete on the field, and we knew it too, just because we saw him in conditioning drills, pickup basketball games, like we saw how fluid he was and how explosive he was. So yeah, it's we got some great answers in here though. Not a ton of guys that we missed. Surprised you didn't put AJ Hawk in there. I think AJ is one of the most underrated guys ever. I mean, I really thought AJ was good when I played with him. We didn't mention Gamble. That's a good one. Who else we got? Pepper, Spielman. Oh, we didn't mention Andy Katzenmoyer. Yeah, that would have been probably a good one for the mic. I probably got to put Mike. I probably could have put Big Cat in there somewhere. So, well, this has been a great show. Appreciate that question. Great feedback too. Any final thoughts about it as we rip through this film?
Looking forward to day 2. We're going to know a little bit more about this 2023 team, and I can't wait to. I'm sure we'll have some great reports coming tomorrow. But it's going to be. I'm telling you, it's going to be a special year for us. I feel it. I think things are falling right into place for this team, and I think it's going to be a big year for Ohio State, and can't wait to get at it. So go Bucks!
Yeah, I'm super excited. I think this is going to be a fantastic ride, and I think that the offense is chomping at the bit. I think guys are healthier than they've been in a little while, and it's going to be a fantastic ride. So if you guys enjoy this ride, again, we appreciate you guys tuning in. This has been an awesome show. Thank you, Sue. Sue was in there first. And the rest of you guys, all of our regulars, we appreciate all you guys as always. If you guys enjoy the show, again, click the alert bell on YouTube and you'll get a little alert on your phone. So you'll be ready to go as soon as we pop on. So we appreciate you guys. We try to go around 7 every night, but sometimes it's a little later if there's a basketball game or something on TV that people are watching. So, but we love interacting with you guys. It's a fantastic show. If you guys enjoy this, BuckeyeScoop.com is the site for you because we are cranking it. We're going to have Bill Green's all-day chat is going on all day tomorrow, Thursday. Does it every Thursday. It's always an amazing, it's like the best day of the week every single time. So you guys log on, get on there. Again, if you love these shows, Buckeye Scoop's the place for you because we do this literally all day, every day. And we have an awesome community, super vibrant, really smart people. Great conversation. Obviously, very heavily around Ohio State football, but we have some really great off-topic threads too. Some are absolutely hilarious, so we appreciate you guys. So thank you guys again. Shout out where you're from in the comments. If you want and you feel ambitious, type your team in the comments because you can put a quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, a tight end, full line, left tackle to right tackle, 2 ends, 2 D tackles, 3 linebackers, 4 guys in the secondary, kicker, punter, do the whole thing. We appreciate it if you do that. We'd love to read it. I read all your comments. So I appreciate you guys as always. So hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation, and thank you, Scoop family. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you guys on BuckeyeScoop.com. Log in, subscribe, tell a friend, because it is awesome, and we love being on there. So hope you guys have a good one. Go Bucks.